Now, yeah, like I said before, I've been in a sci-fi phase, I'll say. Maybe it's not a phase, actually. I'm deciding right now. I'm a big sci-fi guy. But recently I've been looking into a lot of maybe smaller movies that have been in this sci-fi genre because, I mean, if it has a good concept, even if it's made with a very low budget like this one was, I'm still very interested because I feel like that's the type of thing that I would want to make, right? This movie is like one of the definitions of, okay, this is the type of thing that I would love to make. And yeah, I love watching stuff like that. And there's a movie coming out later this year, or maybe it was at Sundance. It's called Something in the Dirt. Yeah, Something in the Dirt, which I'm quite interested in. Um, I think other people should look out for it as well because it's again, it's a low budget sci-fi movie, and it's made by the same guys. They made a movie called The Endless. They made a movie called Synchronic. That one had Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan in it. And yeah, they started off. They just started making these low budget sci-fi concepts, and yeah, the concept is really what wrap people in. And yeah, they have the dream path for me right now because yeah, now they have something at Sundance, and it looks super sick. It's about like two guys. It's a mockumentary kind of because it's about two fictional characters trying to document like a phenomena, a sci-fi concept. So like, oh man, I'm just a sucker for it, and yeah, they did it well. I've seen The Endless and I've seen Synchronic. I don't think I've seen any of the other stuff. I tried to look up their other stuff pretty recently, and none of it was on any streaming service that I had. But I'm very excited for Something in the Dirt. Honestly, it's by Aaron Moorhead, I believe his name is, and Justin. Let me find it here. Justin Benson. Yeah, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. So yeah, they're the low budget sci-fi guys that I'm just like, yeah, I would love to do what they do. So highly recommend that. But yeah, they are the low budget sci-fi type, and this movie Coherence kind of falls in that vein as well because I've wanted to watch Coherence for quite a while. I've seen it on streaming services for a while now. I believe it was on Netflix at some point, but I watched it on Prime this time. I feel like sometimes they just like switch over to different streaming services sometimes, but yeah. So I've seen it, and then I don't know why I never actually decided to go in and watch it. I feel like maybe I've passively like read a review on IMDb being like, oh, it's like it's fine, it's okay, whatever, and I'm like, okay, threw it away. But I feel like it was like a month ago. I was looking at some of the like letterboxed reviews, and some people were like, okay, this is actually a hidden gem, and yeah, because other people they used to say like, or other reviews that I saw was like, oh, it's a little weird. It's like it doesn't really capture my attention, but oh, I'm very happy that I finally watched it, and I recommend everybody watch it as well. Okay, so now, okay, not into spoilers yet, but just about the production. So this movie was very low budget, made for 50K, and it was all shot in I believe it was 5 nights. That what I read up, and so it was directed by James Ward Biernkit. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but James Ward Biernkit. It was his directorial debut. He previously did storyboards for the Pirates films. He helped out on the Pirates films. I believe he was storyboard artist because I read up that he went to school for, yeah, for graphic design and things like that. But they came up with the idea for the movie because they wanted to shoot a movie without a crew and without a script. That was kind of like their original concept, or like in one room with very little possible. And man, I respect that so much because uh, I've had this idea for a while where it's like, or I've never actually done a 24 or was it 42-hour film challenge, but I would have thought what would it would be so cool if I did like a live stream and it was start to finish you make the movie in that time frame, whether it be like 24 hours, 42 hours, but you just like kind of like live stream the behind the scenes the whole time. That would be so cool. And I don't know, I'm a big fan of like the old the feeling of like when I was in high school making movies with friends. You kind of like come up with the idea very quick, you go out and shoot it. And I'm the type of person who has a lot of ideas running around in my brain, and it's hard just to stick to one and write one at one time. So like yeah, the fact that they did that is so cool. But I mean, that is to say, they definitely did prepare for a long time. I read up that he was making the story for about a year before they shot it because he had to choreograph a lot and make sure that everything was going at least along a certain plan so that it wasn't a complete mess. Which, I mean, after they shot, maybe it was a complete mess and the editor just like kind of roped it together and everything. But yeah, so it was all shot in his home. He invited these 8 actors over to his home, and he didn't give them a script. He gave them character intentions and certain character beats that he wanted them to nail each and every day. And then he said that, okay, just go off and you're having a dinner party, and whatever happens, react to it in character. Which is, yeah, it's kind of like a murder mystery party, kind of shades of like an escape room, things like that. But yeah, that must have been so fun to be a part of as an actor. Like, I read on the IMDb fun facts that one of the actresses, when she watched the movie finally, she didn't actually know that that was what the movie was about based on what she had shot. But they did a lot of things, like they gave characters intentions and other characters like completely opposite intentions. And when you're watching the movie now, knowing that fact, you're like, oh, I definitely see that, and it's genius. I'll go through some of the IMDb trivia afterwards because I think there's some very interesting points in there. But yeah, okay. So where to start with this movie? Where to start? So, heavy spoilers now. If you have not seen this movie, please, I don't watch this if you haven't seen this movie. Because yeah, like I said before, it's one that it was very, very satisfying not knowing anything going in. And yeah, so a brief synopsis. So we have our main character, M, who we follow throughout the movie, our main M throughout the movie, because if you've seen the movie, you know there are multiple others of every single character. It's a multiverse movie. Everyone loves a good this was a multiverse movie before multiverse movies became mainstream, because you have I mean the Avengers, and then there's that movie, what was it? The one with what's her face? There's a multiverse movie coming out later this year. Everything Everywhere Now at Once. That movie looks awesome. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Who stars in that again? That is stars. Where's that? Michelle Yeoh, right? Michelle Yeoh stars in that, and man, that looks awesome because it's the same director as what was it? Swiss Army Man, right? Same director as Swiss Army Man, doing a multiverse movie. That sounds amazing. But yeah, sorry, I'm going off track like I always do. Yeah, it's a multiverse movie, and you have our main character, M. She's going to a dinner party, and I really like they established early on that she's tough with decisions, because this whole concept stems on all these different realities existing because people made different decisions. And yeah, so she's like the indecisive one. We get revealed that the career that she wanted was taken by some understudy because she didn't want to be an understudy for this dancer. And then at the last moment, lo and behold, the main dancer had to back out, and then the other understudy that would have been her got the role and is now very, very successful. And yeah, that's kind of just the backstory on leaning into her current decision, where she has to decide if she wants to move to Vietnam with her partner, Kevin or Mike. I don't know. Dude, Kevin and Mike are just the same character. I'll say it. But I think it's Kevin. Yeah. So she has to decide if she wants to move to Vietnam with Kevin. But yeah, Kevin's like, oh, this is the day that you have to make the decision. But of course, indecisive M, she can't make the decision on that one night. And then things start to get weird. So they start having this dinner party and everything, and then lights go off. There is a house 2 blocks down, and that's the only one that has power. And there's a lot of small things in this movie where it's like they had to have it in to keep the plot going forward. I get it. So it's like that one thing that Hugh was told by his brother, that if anything weird happened, you have to call me. You have to find a way to call me. And he's like, okay, weird things are starting to happen. Has to call his brother. So that kind of sets off everything, because he is the one who has to travel to the other house first. And yeah, so Hugh and Amir, they go to that other second house and are never seen again. But not really, because they come back like, what, 30 minutes later? Um, I really, really like the reveals in this movie and how everything was set up because, I mean, yeah, initially you're thinking there's two different houses and two different versions of everybody, but then in the end we're revealed that it is a whole multiverse thing. But yeah, so he goes to that other house, and I think the first moment that I got chills where it's like, okay, you know something's weird's going on, and then the first moment that I think there's two moments where I got chills was when the letter that he had just written down was posted on the door. And so, who is it? It was Hugh writing a letter saying, "Hey, we just want to use your phone. We see you have power." They tape it on the door, or he's about to go and tape it on the other people's door, but before that happens, there's a knock at their door, and the paper is right there, which is, yeah, that was a great reveal. Yeah, and then the second really good reveal I like is when the four people, I forget who it was. Oh. It was Mike, Kevin, Kevin, and Mike, and Lee, I think. They all see themselves, but with red glow sticks. That was another moment that gave me chills. But alas, where am I? I'm not doing a very good job at explaining this entire plot, but yeah. In the end, we realize that this dark zone is, when you pass through it, you get just shot out into another reality where this dinner party is happening. This other house down the street, and you get to interact with whichever 8 of them are there currently. Which at the beginning, it seems very lucky that none of them like ran into each other, because it's very clear from early on that at that stage in the night there are some other multiverses that are like already further down the path than they are, because they find the box and they have no clue what is happening with the box. So it's very, very lucky that they did not interact with a Kevin or a Mike who wanted to kill them all, or an M who was trying to kill herself. But yeah, that was very like, there's a lot of like conveniences in the movie and everything, but I give it a pass because it is a multiverse, right? So there's an infinite number of possibilities, so why was this not the possibility? Because if we're watching a movie about one, this is one of the most interesting ones, so, you know, why not watch a movie about this reality? But alas, okay. So enough of the plot. I guess I find a hard time, because I usually like to dive into the characters and how they were developed and everything, but this movie was like so much improv that it's hard to talk about how the characters were made and how they were developed, because in the back of my mind I know that like they just made a bunch of this stuff up on the day. But alas, I guess we can just talk about like performances and, yeah, talk about the characters in general. So M, I mean, she's the protagonist, right? And she does a very good job. She does a very good confused, not what's going on. She was a very good character to have the audience use her as a lens because of her indecisiveness. And that's kind of like a thread that kind of connects everything together, because it's all about decisions in the end. It's kind of like the Bandersnatch thing, where it's like the choose your own adventure. You can make a choose your own adventure with this movie. If each decision that they make, you get to choose, oh, red glow sticks or blue glow sticks. Go to the other house and leave a blackmail note to other Mike, or go to the other house and steal the book from the car, or something like that. Yeah, that's what happened in this movie. And that's another thing where it's like, I was saying how all of the reality that we're in is very convenient, that nobody like got exposed to another person from one of the other realities very early on. And yeah, one of the things is that we're very lucky that oh man, what was I talking about? I just lost my train of thought by talking. That was, yikes, what was I talking about? Man, I don't even remember. I just completely lost my train of thought. Okay. Well, this is going great. Okay. Yeah. Bandersnatch, that was what I was talking about. Right. Yeah, it's in this movie, it's very much like the decisions that are made are very like black and white. So it's like there is a lot of like little micro decisions, and I guess you kind of have to make them like that to make the story work, because in actual real life, every single decision is made every single second. Like me deciding to look this way instead of this way, and that would just create so many different things. But in these realities, they all somehow manage to make the decision to take these glow sticks or not take these glow sticks, or do this or do this. It's very like there's like just a couple of options for them, when in reality there would be like so many millions of options. But it makes sense for the movie because you're like, you can analyze which decision they made in that moment. But also, again, to play devil's advocate, it's like they are very, very similar people. They're the same people in every reality, so of course they would make same decisions, or very, very similar decisions. But alas, I'm going into decision making too much. Yeah. So one of the other characters, Kevin and Mike, I got mixed up the whole time. Okay, they look the same. They're both just like normal looking white dudes, very similar haircut, both like the actor type. And yeah, I got them confused the whole time. But Kevin, I believe, was her partner, M's boyfriend, who was going to go to Vietnam. I forget if he was an actor or not. Now I'm like, which one of them was an actor and which one? I think Mike was the actor. What did Kevin even do? I don't know. Maybe it was just some job. But so Kevin, he was decently rational the whole time. He's definitely like not a great boyfriend, trying to push her to make these decisions and everything, but he didn't have the most distinct character arc out of all of them. He was very important because he was the protagonist partner and everything, but his character didn't really stand out for me. Mike, on the other hand, the drunken alcoholic actor, was more of a standout character. I think a lot of the characters, they worked very well because all of the actors got to naturally come up with their characters, and I guess the director did a good job at prompting them to all have very specific character traits that are very relevant to the story. And yeah, Mike, the alcoholic actor who tries to blackmail himself, was I thought he was really good. He was very cocky, and I really liked the plot. There's a lot of plot points I really like in this movie, honestly. I'll say that a lot, but I really like the plot point of, him trying to blackmail himself, because in his mind, he's trying to think of a way to make sure that other Kevin is not going to come and just other Mike. I keep saying Kevin, but I mean Mike. Other Mike is not going to come and kill them all, which I like it because it's a very clever way to, reveal information that's very juicy for the entire party to know. But at the same time, it's like, why are you starting to get violent at your other self so quickly? Like, yes, I get it. They don't know who the other people are. There's a theory that's like, oh, they're dark versions of ourselves. But at the same time, it's like, the obvious answer in my head was like, just don't go anywhere. Just don't leave. You got him, you got Hugh and Amir who left and came back. Okay, they may have switched realities and everything, but like, just at that point, okay, weird things are going on. Like, you have candles. You're not gonna die because you're just chilling in there. If they all just stayed inside the whole time, that would have been the best. But alas, Mike was the cocky bastard he was, and had to go out and try to make things right. But I also really like that one reality where there's two Mikes all tied up together. That was a good one. And then I also saw that, I forget, I watched a couple videos on it, but there was a extra because they had to have two Mikes in one scene where one Mike comes in and just like beats up other Mike, and then he just dips right away. And so that was actually the actor's brother who came in, and he was credited for that because I guess they looked similar. But so apparently it was his brother who came and did that, which was very cool. Okay, next character we have is Beth. I believe she was, Beth was the older one. Or was that Lee? Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm going to have to look this up. I'm getting these characters way too mixed up. Beth and Lee. Okay, so one of them is Mike's partner, and one of them is Hugh's partner. Okay, let me see here. I have it pulled up here. Okay, Beth is she's the older woman who is very into horse tranquilizer. Yeah, she was good. She was kind of like the voodoo, like, kind of a little crazy into the psychedelics. She said at some point that she did mushrooms with Hugh at one point, but yeah, she's the more superstitious one. I'd say you can tell that she gets very nervous when Hugh goes off and everything's going crazy, and she needs her horse tranquilizer to calm her down. I thought she was pretty good as well. I thought she was pretty good. There's that whole thing with that door to nowhere that she was establishing. It's like you put some picture of somebody who you have unresolved issues with there, and the door will like somehow help that. I didn't really get that. I guess I should have dug deeper into that whole door thing, because at the end M does come through that door at one point, and it's probably important. But yeah, I didn't get that too much. But yeah, she was really good as well. She was very paranoid. I don't think any of the actors really took me out of it. I think all because of how natural it was and all of the improv that was involved with it. All the actors were pretty good in my opinion. Hugh, I thought, was probably one of the best ones. I really like. He was the one who kind of started the really creepy atmosphere, because he comes back with a cut on his face and he is not saying anything about what happened. He's not revealing any details, because that Hugh could have been a Hugh from a different reality already, and he already had some details on what happened. Maybe he's like, when M was going around at the end trying to find a reality that she liked, maybe that was Hugh and Amir who just came back. They were like, oh boy, we know there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and they found this one, and they gotta act like they belong there for a bit. But yeah, I really liked him. I liked his explaining of the Schrodinger's cat and the quantum decoherence and everything. Yeah, he was very much the him and Beth as a couple. I think they worked well, because she is kind of the more what word did I use before? I don't know. She's the more skeptic out of them both, and he contrasts that very well. I think they had a pretty believable relationship where it's like she's very skeptical, she's very like into some theories, possibly does a lot of psychedelics, and he's kind of he seems more studious, but still at the same time he is very interested in that stuff. I don't know. He worked well with her. Moving on. Lee, she was she didn't do too much, but she was a good character, because I think it was their house. I think she was hosting, right? So she was kind of just the one who was like, she was preparing the meal, I believe, and at one point she went to sleep, and that was a big plot point. But yeah, she was pretty harmless. She was good. I liked her character. Amir, supposed to be the cocky, not as like Mike cocky, but just the like kind of one that you're not sure if like the whole friend group really likes him or not. But hey, he's there. I mean, he was cool. I liked his character. But he's not really a playboy. One thing with Lori, so you have Amir and Lori, and then right at the beginning they were building up. He's like, oh, she's such a vixen. She's such a scandalous woman, just getting so many guys. Previously dated Kevin, I believe. And then she walks in, and my dad said to me, it's like, really, her? When I went to talk to him about it later, he was like, really? That's who? Really? Like, okay, whatever. But alas. But cool thing with Amir is that Amir was also one of the writers, or the actor who played Amir. He was also one of the writers, so he was kind of like the mole in the whole improv game, that he actually knew what was going on the whole time, or he knew where everything had to go. So I feel like when they were performing, I don't know if it shows up in the film when you watch it, but he probably guided everybody to make sure that they were going on the right track for the plot that they wanted to have happen. So he was kind of like, he was the control to everybody. So I feel like if somebody was going like too far off book or too far in a direction that they didn't want, he could in character be the one to kind of like reel them back in, which was cool. And then last one, Lori. I think Lori was fine. Her flirting was like a little like, okay, come on, like you're just at a dinner party with 8 people. You're really gonna flirt with Mike? And was that really a good moment to flirt with him? Like, crazy stuff is going on, and you guys are all just trying to figure it out. Like, that house didn't seem very big. Somebody probably heard you. Oh, somebody did hear you, but like multiple people probably heard what she was saying. But like, what is she doing? But yeah, those are all the characters. I don't think there was any other characters on the IMDb here. There's like a couple people listed as extras, but I'm having trouble thinking of the moments where you actually would have extras. Epic Josh stream moment. This is an epic stream in my opinion because I'm very stoked to talk about this movie. I just went through all the characters. Now I'm kind of getting into more of the meat and potatoes, the theories and everything. But yeah, so a few funny lines before I get into like the theories and everything. But a few funny lines. My favorite line I think of the whole movie was they're all trying to comfort him when it was revealed that one of them slept with his wife. and then I forget if it was Kevin who went, okay, there's a million different realities and I've slept with your wife in every single one of them. That's a great quote. There was also another quote where it's like, we got to split up. No, we're not going to split up. We're just going to go in 2 separate groups. That was a good one as well. It makes me think which ones of these were improvised and which one of these were not improvised. But yeah, a couple good lines right there. What else? We had they're talking about Hugh's brother, and then he says, oh yeah, he nobody really knew what he did. Even Hugh didn't really know what he did. He's like, he's into a lot of theories. And somebody said, he's a weird guy. And then somebody said, yeah, he's just a really trippy guy. Like, you're describing a scientist as just a trippy guy? I wouldn't trust his credentials very much if you're just calling him a trippy guy. But, yeah, it has some good lines. But, okay, so, into some theories and science and everything. Okay, so, one of the big theories in it is, like, the Schrodinger's cat, which I feel like a lot of people already know about. I think it was in Big Bang Theory. I mean, when I was in high school, I feel like everyone has seen at least a few episodes of Big Bang Theory. It was very hard not to get exposed to it. I'm pretty sure that was a plot point in that, so I feel like a lot of people are very familiar with what Schrodinger's cat is. But if we're thinking about it, like, when they're all trying to rationalize what's happened, they hear about this book that Hugh's brother had about this quantum decoherence in Schrodinger's cat. So they're saying, like, oh, so we're the cat, we're in the box. And yeah, I think that's right. So the comet passes by and it's kind of like the comet is closing the box so that the different scenarios could play out. And so at the same time, this and this can both be true. Outcome 1 and outcome 2 can both be true. But I think what this builds on, it kind of like builds on this theory, which I'm sure people have talked about for many a years. But I think that with this movie, it kind of changes the dichotomy of just alive, dead, because the whole thing with Schrodinger's cat is that the cat is both alive and both dead at the same time. But in this, or the logic that Coherence gives us is that inside of the box, the cat is both alive, both dead, both in this corner of the box, both in this corner of the box, both sleeping, both awake, both, like running around or having a panic attack, both dived to starvation. There's a million different things that this cat could be happening. And if we're going on the Schrodinger's theory, then those are all happening at the same time. And so what the comet is doing is closing the box and allowing all that to play out. So if this were just a movie about Schrodinger's cat, then it would just be a movie filming a cat in a box. You close the box, and then maybe there's like, you have to visualize it somehow, but you close the box and then you just watch the cat do literally everything, any possible thing that a cat could do, and they're all true at that moment for everybody outside of the box. Because any one of those scenarios could have been playing out, right? Right, I know. Mind blown. I had a thought that a really cool ending would have been if M at the end, instead of getting it very much hard confirmed there is another M in this reality because of this phone call. It would have been cool if she looked at the trunk, and then the trunk became Schrodinger's cat. It becomes M's M. If I'm trying to replace Schrodinger and the cat with M because she's both Schrodinger and the cat, she looks at the trunk and she's like, okay, if I open this, then there'll be a definitive answer. But if I leave it closed, then there is and isn't an M in that trunk right now, and I am or am not going crazy. I guess it doesn't give her much closure, but I think that would have just been like a cool ending to kind of tie in the Schrodinger's cat thing. But yeah, they're very much explicitly said that, okay, there's multiple M's in this reality at the end, because I still did like the end. I still did like the end very much. So I just thought that would have been cool because it's very, very much Schrodinger's cat. But okay, back into the theories and everything. So the exact line that Hugh said in the movie is, he's reading the book from his brother and he says, "There's another theory that two states continue to exist separate and decoherent from each other, each creating a new branch of reality based on two outcomes. Quantum incoherence ensures that the different outcomes have no like correlation with each other." It was something, I feel I wrote down the quote wrong. The different outcomes have no interaction with each other. So this is saying that because of quantum incoherence, all of the realities, they are all existing all at once, but they will never come into contact. So what the comet is doing is breaking this quantum decoherence and is cohering them. Thus, the name of the film, Coherence, right? So the comet is creating this coherence, and that kind of goes along the line of like quantum entanglement, where like two things are linked no matter how far in space they are. That's what quantum entanglement is, right? So like everyone in their universe is linked, or everyone in our universe, not even talking about the movie, is linked quantumly to another universe where there's another you, but there's so much space in between that you're never going to interact, but somehow you're still linked, right? I don't know too much about quantum physics and everything, but I've heard of quantum entanglement before, but it's like, I don't know how much that adds to this conversation, but it would make sense that, okay, these are the only two houses that were affected. Well, I guess not only two houses, but this is the only group that was effective. None of the other houses in the neighborhood were affected by this. Like, why didn't they just go to a neighbor's house and see, hey, what's up? There's nobody else in the entire movie. But I think quantum entanglement makes sense because as this phenomenon is happening, as the comet is breaking this decoherence, that everything that is quantumly entangled is amalgamating in that dark zone. Does that make sense? Are you still here, Alma? Are you still listening to this? But I think that's a nice way of thinking it. It makes a little more sense in my eyes that everything is quantumly entangled, and that's the reason why they're the only ones to interact with each other. Yeah, that really convinces me that you understand what I'm talking about. But yeah. So one thing that I heard, I watched a couple videos on it, and a couple people were saying that the initial Amir and the initial Lori that came in, they came in late. So they were already different versions of themselves. So we never actually got to see the original version of Hugh and Lori because presumably they went through the dark zone and they came out in a different reality. Every Amir and Lori wound up in a different one. So they're screwed no matter what. They're never getting back to where they came from. I think it was that Beth and Lee are the only ones in the entire movies who are sitting in their actual proper realities the entire time. which, yeah, crazy. But yeah, that would explain she said she really liked Roswell, but never recognized that Mike, Kevin, I don't know, they're the same person. That, I think it was Mike, that Mike was in Roswell. And that would explain that, because in her reality, maybe, again, these like small differences that, yeah, he never ended up on Roswell, and it was a different actor, which ties it into our real life. Maybe there's a multiverse out there where that Mike is on Roswell. But yeah, that would explain that. But I was talking to my parents earlier, and it was like, they thought at the end of the movie that everything was exactly the same until this night, and that this night broke up, or that the comet was kind of like a visual representation of like a timeline. So you have the comet going, and then you see at the end it explodes into different paths, kind of like in the MCU what's happening right now. You have the bunch of different timelines that everything was going the exact same, and then when the comet hits, it's breaking everything apart into different decisions just that night. But yeah, it doesn't seem like that. Initially, it definitely does seem like that, but I think that one plot point kind of explains that, and maybe what I was talking about with the quantum entanglement and the decoherence, that these different realities are all happening, and at this point you're just kind of like putting them together and cohering them. But yeah, and I think at the very end, when she finds that one reality that she really likes, I think it was Kevin or Mike that says something about the understudy. She's like, oh, you're gonna get blah 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 to understudy your life while we're gone in Vietnam. So she chose a very good reality, because it seems like in that reality she actually was le professional dancer. But I guess you can always poke holes in movies like this with plots that are so like time travel-y and just universe bending, but you're telling me in every single universe they all got together for dinner? Like, if she's a famous dancer, then there's no universe where she had like a gig that night, or she had to travel somewhere? I mean, maybe there is, but they just didn't show it. I mean, yeah. Like I said before, this is saying there's an infinite number of universes, and it allows it to justify itself because we're thinking this is the one they chose to show to us. So in this universe, all this could have feasibly happened because of these different ones that it interacted with. Because there's an infinite number, where it's just, oh, my brain hurts every time I think about that. But yeah. And I also saw a thing where that in the end, we're thinking that, oh, he gets the phone call, and that it's the other M that she attacked earlier in the previous night. Oh gosh, there's two M's in this reality. But the thing is that apparently at that point in the movie, she went off and she was trying to find this ideal universe that she wanted to insert herself in. But other M's are doing this at the same time, right? So it's thought that our original M that we were following the entire time, yeah, she put the ketamine on that one M in the car who was looking for the ring, and then put her in the trunk. And initially in my mind, I thought the one in the trunk was the one that came out and then crawled back into the house. But that's probably just another one, because how is she getting out of the trunk, right? Maybe that's just me. Maybe other people already thought of this, but I was like, oh yeah, that's just, it has to be the one from the same universe. But no, there's the second one crawls into the house, but she already seemed like she was a little woozy. So she was probably like drugged by a different M and escaped and was crawling back into whatever house she could find, which just so happened to be that one. And she chose very unlucky because she got bashed in the head. And then went into the was shoved into the shower or the bathtub. And that's one thing where it's like she wakes up and she's like, she goes to look to the bathroom immediately and she's not there. It's like, how does she escape that? How did she get out of the bathroom? Maybe she didn't want to wake anybody up, went off and did whatever, because like she had to be calling from somewhere. But isn't her phone broken, or is there just a bunch of different realities where her phone isn't broken? I don't know. Because you have Hugh who shows his phone where it's like, oh, it's broken in this one, not broken in that one. That was a very big plot point, but did we ever see an M with a not broken phone? Didn't that happen before she got there? So I feel like her phone should be broken in all of them. Really. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'm just thinking too hard about this right now. But yeah, so there's probably just a bunch of different M's hanging out in multiple universes now. Which is like, yeah. That's the scary thought at the end of the movie that, oh, jeez. If they had all just, stayed inside the whole time, they'd have been fine. But nope, now there's multiple M's in this universe, and there's none in one other universe. Everything is just completely messed up now. Sucks. And nobody else in the entire community got out of their houses and went in that dark zone? Really? Really? Like, no interaction with neighbors whatsoever. What if, instead of going into the dark zone, they drove in the other direction? Would everything still be the same? What if you drive around the dark zone? Is it just a circle? Or is it like a line, a borderline, that once you cross the threshold? Because they were saying it's like this area in the middle of the street is so dark, and that I passed through it and came out in a different reality. Really, it's just a roulette wheel, shooting them into different realities. So what if they just went around it? Like I said before, you can always pick different plot points out of everything, but my dad's theory was that what they should have done is, which is not feasible really, but it was funny, that they should have gotten every single reality should have just gone in the middle of the dark zone and then somehow found their original friends and then just gone off to a random house. And so at least you would have your original friends in the end. Or at least one version of everybody in every reality to contain some normality in those universes. But no, they just had to go crazy. Which I thought it was funny. I think that would be a good way. But if you all go in there, you like all have a nice meetup with an infinite number of people in this middle zone. Like, imagine you're like 1M. She's like looking for the different realities, and then she stands in the middle. She looks around, and she just sees a crowd of a million different versions of her, a million different versions of her friends, just all around. That would be crazy. But yeah, there's so many different possibilities that could happen. But I mean, this is why I like this movie. I could talk about it forever. There's so many theories that could be had and everything. But going back to some of the themes of the movie, I feel like because this was so much made improvisationally, it was probably put together in the edit, and I have to think how much of the themes and the message of the movie was thought, because I know there's lines where it's like, oh, what if we're the dark version, right? Where it's like, oh, what if we're our own worst nightmare, things like that. So you have those like drops of kind of like thematic relevance, but I think with the final product, you still have to critique the final product and like kind of derive what you can from that, because I'm sure some people watched the movie and they didn't actually know that the background of the production and everything. But I think that with the themes of like all your worst fears yourself, it comes full circle in the end, really, when she attacks herself. She literally attacks herself because she wants the ideal life. And it makes sense with her indecisions at the beginning, because the lengths at which we go to have the best life, which makes sense for her character, which is why she was the protagonist, because she had made many decisions in her past that she's not cool with, and she wants to like have those chances back. And it's like, here you go, you have a chance to literally choose your own destiny and find a life that is perfect for you. And I guess before all this happened, she literally tears herself down and it eats at her because of the decisions that she made in the past. And this is her chance to kind of try to redeem herself, which is why it's good that we're watching her as the protagonist. But yeah, the movie, it's all about decisions and everything, and she's such an indecisive character that it works. And I think something interesting that I thought of, a Josh original thought, who would have thunk, that the through line is they're all scared of the alternate reality versions of themselves, right? They all want to find their original friends, the original people that they think they knew. And that's the goal. So that's what they're valuing. Those relationships that they actually really made are what they value. So I think that's kind of part of the lesson, where it's like, no matter what decisions that you've made in your life, and no matter if they're good or bad, if they weigh on you, that what really matters in the end is that, okay, there's nothing you can do to change it, and you should stick with those decisions because that's who you are, right? Because, yeah, if she was in that reality with that, if she was in a reality where she is a professional dancer, that's not who she is, right? That's just my thoughts. That's my thoughts. I think in the way I think about that, it works well. It's a nice bow on top, because who knows if they thought about that when they were writing the script or creating the idea, because yeah, so much of it was improvised. But yeah, it's very interesting to think about. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Do you have any other theories, Alma? Anything other that you thought about after we watched this movie? But I think one thing I haven't talked about yet, I guess, is just like the technical making of the movie, which, yeah, we know it's all improvised and everything, but no, but it's filled with different takeaways, I think. Very existential. Yeah, it is very existential, and I like that. That's the kind of movie I like, and you know that. But I think after we watched it, we were like, oh, the cinematography was poor, right? Like, if we think about the production, we appreciate it, and we're like, okay, whatever. We kind of give it brownie points for that. But like, yeah, really, like, it was very. My parents even noted it was so yellow. It was very like blown out at some points. The lighting was very inconsistent. The yeah, it's very in your face. I don't think it's as much of the style. I think the lighting and the color is honestly the worst part, because like, yeah, the Office-esque kind of just camera hanging around. The camera is another character watching everybody so that they can do everything naturally. It works, makes you feel like you're there. Adds, because of the natural dialogue, that kind of camera makes it work. But I think that yeah, there were some moments where the lights are just like completely blown out, whatever's on the screen and everything, and some of the shot composition did just feel very like amateurish, right? But even The Office had a steadier cam than that. Yeah, it's true, and yeah, I mean, they probably just shot it on very like, probably like a DSLR or something, but yeah, it does put you off a little, where it's like, you could have done a little better, but it takes you out a little. It really does. I think that's like the only area I would really dock points, because I love thinking about the different theories, and even if there's little inconsistencies, whatever, you can't make a multiverse movie that's perfectly tied up and makes complete sense, because in the end you don't really want it to. But yeah, technically, yeah, I mean, that was a one gripe. And again, if you don't know the background of the production and you watch it, that's probably what you're thinking too. You're probably thinking, oh, this is shot very poorly. But in the end, I still respect it. You know, I respect it. I thought all the performances were still good and everything. Like, I'm fine with all the performances. As a sound recordist myself, sound recording is very good. Worked out well. But yeah, I mean, it was a minimal crew. I think it was on Wikipedia, I read that there was like, you had a producer, you had the director, you had 2 sound people, and like 2 camera ops or something. It was like very, very skeleton, which, yeah, respect. You got to respect the effort. But yeah, oh, I did want to bring this up. There's some trivia bits that they put on the IMDb. Okay. So I feel I've went over a couple of these already, a couple of these trivia bits, like, oh yeah, 5K, 5 nights. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, here's where I saw it. 5 crew members, 2 sound guys, director of photography, producer, and director. Nice. Set of scripts, actors were given small paragraphs. They would see their goals for the day. It kind of feels like I used to do improv practice for theater like this, or we're rehearsing a scene and we just want to try it different ways, make sure that the one way that we're rehearsing isn't just like set in stone, and we want to feel more alive and like in character on stage. So you give a character a secret motivation, and then you go into the scene and all the other characters don't know what is happening. It's like you have those conflicting motivations, which is, yeah, that's super fun. I feel like, yeah, there's something here, right down here. It says, oh, I didn't scroll enough. When Kevin tries to leave the house by himself, M was given the note not to let him leave, and his note was to leave. So the director told him, you got to get out of here. And the director told her, no, don't let him go. We're just like, oh, I love that stuff. I love that. That's so cool. It's very, yeah, improv game, rehearsal, just playing around with it, taking it very literally. Oh, that's so sick. Let's see, anything else cool? Yeah, so Amir, he was essentially the mole who helped guide the scenes. He used his own house. He was going to use his wife, but she was pregnant. Oh. Wait, he wanted to use his own house as setting the movie. Since his wife was pregnant and wanted a home birth, she agreed to let him do it as long as he could do it in 5 days. Okay. I think I read something else that she was like initially going to be in the movie, but she was pregnant, so she couldn't. According to Emily, she played M, after the first mysterious thumping on the door to nowhere, the actors were both scared and very excited about the story that was unfolding. Of course, we knew we were in good hands, but this is when things got really exciting because we could see how genius and well-planned everything was. We didn't have any clue. That's awesome. That's a murder mystery party meets like escape room, but for the actors, that must have been so much fun. And yeah, like we're saying that, oh, they just kind of did this without a script or anything. They must have planned this so hard to get everything right, which is like, damn, mad respect. Lee, had the least idea of what movie was being filmed since the rest of the cast has already done test footage. She only knew it was going to be improvised. At the third day of filming, she realized it wasn't supposed to be a big comedy. Yeah, definitely not a comedy. That's funny. Let's see here. The neighborhood was supposed to look completely dark when the first group visits the other house. It was the same night a Snickers commercial was being filmed in the neighborhood, which used huge lights and 100 people. Yikes. Hey, pregnant wife, sorry, there's a Snickers commercial. We're going to have to go another day. Oof. I mean, yeah, the outdoor scenes, you can tell they probably just like went like 10 meters from their house, and that's it. Stayed on the same block the whole time because it was very dark. It was very up close, which makes sense because you have the dark zone and everything. But 3 rental cars were used for the breaking of glass. The windows were replaced after. Emily wanted to immediately bust open the box when it was first discovered. The director had to step in since the filmmakers only had 1 box. Oh, she just wanted to break it. It's like, no, please, we need that for many, many other scenes. Story took a year to write. Shot chronologically. Makes sense. Had to get those natural reactions and everything. Hardest part was keeping everybody quiet since there's so many people that wanted to speak. Which, they're actors, of course. They want to say things. They want to be in front of the camera. That's how actors are. The reason the camera was so shaky was not so much a stylistic choice, but it was giving the actor the freedom to go anywhere they wished to. So I guess, yeah, they just wanted it. They had it shaky because they wanted to cover everything. And you had to move around to get the shots that you want. Oh, this is interesting. Some scenes were shot 6 months later. Lee changed her hair during the time, and so they spent $8,000 getting a wig that matched her original hair. This was as much budget as the entire first shoot. Yeah, I imagine it was made for $50K, and I mean, that's probably not all just shoot. Maybe it could be promotional and stuff like that, but $8K for a wig, oof, that's a big blow. Like, I produce some things, and as a producer, that's like, oh, it's such a small thing, but you have to do it. You have to do it. Oh, that sucks. The filmmakers do not reveal how the comet was filmed, other than they say it was a practical effect. So they say it was practical, but they're not saying how they did it? I mean, I would have thought it would just been digital, but hey, cool, good for them. Okay. You keep your secrets, whatever. Both sides of the phone call at the beginning were recorded together instead of a more common practice to be added at a later time. I feel like I've done phone calls where you do it at the same time, but that's not crazy. That's not too crazy. The idea of the story came from wanting to tell a story in one room. Yep. They done diddly did it. There's only 2 cameras used throughout the filming of the movie, except during the dinner scene, in which they had 1 additional camera, so 3 in total. All right. I'm not sure how credible are these IMDb fun facts. I mean, a few of them I've seen at like multiple sources while I was doing some research, but ones like that, I'm like, how do you know that? Were you there? Really? Maybe you just said in an interview once. That would make sense, but how credible are these? Oh, here's where I read this. Test footage was filmed a year prior. The role of Mike's wife was originally played by the director's wife. She chose not to be in the film because she was pregnant. Yeah. Maurice Sterling was terrified of improv. One of the actors. I don't know exactly which one it was. Who are you? Let me open this in a new tab here. Oh, he's the guy who plays, I don't know which one it is. Either Mike or Kevin. I think Kevin. Maybe it says here. Yeah, Kevin. I cannot tell the two apart. All right, let's just do a few more. The director first met the actress who played Lori while working on Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, we looked it up yesterday. She was one of the, what was her role again? She was in Pirates. She was a girl who saw Jack Sparrow. Oh, it says here. What am I saying? The wench who slaps Johnny Depp. She played Scarlett, the wench who slapped Johnny Depp. Just okay. Is that her official character name? The wench who slapped Johnny Depp from Tortuga. Okay. Which one is that in? Oh, Curse of the Black Pearl. Blah. Man, some of the earlier Pirates I don't have the best memory of. Maybe I should rewatch them. The actress who played Lee just finished writing, directing Seeking a Friend for the End of the World before filming. I feel like I've heard of that movie. Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. As an asteroid nears Earth. Where'd you get that idea, huh? I mean, I guess this one was filmed previously, so, director. How original is this, really? Oh, that's cool, though. So she directed it. Oh, it's Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. Patton Oswalt. Okay. That's cool. Oh, so she directed that. Good for her. Wow, that's awesome. Cool. Has she made anything else? She produced Hustlers. That's cool. Wow, she does a lot of things. Actor, writer, producer, director. That's sick. Awesome. Director. 7 credits. She directed an episode of Succession. That's cool. Damn. Good for her. Elizabeth and Lauren were enemies in the movie, but are great friends in real life. Wait, you're telling me this director didn't get 2 real-life enemies and insert them into this movie? That would have ended well. Oh, boy. Hugh was the only one to actually break car windows. Okay, cool. The producer flew out from England specifically to make sure the movie would happen. Oh, that's nice. Cool. All right. Oh, the trivia items below maybe give away plot points. Whoa. M figured out she was the lead of the film around the time it's shown that she figures out what the numbers mean. Cool. When M leaves to find a new house, a deleted scene has her pass one where a seance is held over the dead body of Mike. That would have been crazy. I wonder if that actual footage is on the internet. that would be crazy. A dead Mike, presumably killed by another Mike, and they're having a seance around his dead body. That would have been a dark... I think that would have been cool. I mean, you have so many of the crazy realities happening at the end. You have the 2 Mikes both, tied up in those chairs and everything. You have the one where everyone's fighting. You have the one where Mike or Kevin... Oh, where Kevin is with Lori. Have one where he's dead. That would have been fun. Have one where Mike's dead. That would be funny. When the original Amir and Hugh finally returned to the house... Okay, original Amir and Hugh, not the original ones. There was a 45-minute standoff from the others in the house who wouldn't let them in. The director had to step in and allow them in so that the story could progress. There was a 45-minute standoff from the others in the house who wouldn't let them in. So maybe they were recording, and then in the scene they were like, no, we're not going to let them in. But then the director's like, guys, you actually have to let them in for the plot. Okay, you're saying the original Amir and Hugh, but we know now that they were not the original Amir and Hugh. They're the ones who pieced out, and they're never to be seen again. There must be every Amir and Hugh is in a different reality right now. Okay, only a couple more. We'll do a couple more. When the original Amir and... Okay, I just read that. The car that M knocks out her doppelganger is her car in real life. Wow. When M was searching for different houses, was filmed the same night as the director's wife had their baby. It was a home birth held in the same house the movie was filmed in. That's crazy. I wonder if the director's there. Wait, no, she had to be looking into the house to see all those different realities happening. So she's looking into this house, and presumably a baby might be being born at the exact same moment that was filmed. Okay, please, honey, can you keep it down up there? We're trying to film something. She's giving birth. Oh man, that's crazy. Yikes. Okay, you're planning this movie, and I get it. It takes a lot of planning. You need everybody's timetables to match up. But like, your wife's about to have a baby, and this is when you choose to film. Oh man. Okay, last one. Around 32 minutes, the director says his favorite line was said by Alex, who's Amir. We're not splitting up, we're going into groups. Yes. Ward describes it as the skeleton key to the whole movie, and also speaks to the subversion of movie tropes in the movie. All right. That is a good line. I concur. But, okay, enough of that trivia. It was a good time. That was fun trivia to look into, because that production seems crazy. Because you have the whole, just how it was made and everything. And then you add the director's wife is pregnant, just chilling there the whole time, presumably just in another room. That is very silly. But I think that's all I have to say on Coherence. I really liked it, if you couldn't tell. This is my type of movie, and I'm very, very glad that I chose it for this one. And if you have not seen it, and somehow you're listening to these words coming out of my mouth, please watch it before listening to any spoilers on it, because it was so good going in not knowing anything. And I'm very happy that I tried to shield myself from like the promotional material and just looking up too much of the log line and everything. Like, yeah, I'm very happy with how my viewing experience turned out. Very satisfying, and I love the film. I gave it 8 out of 10 stars, 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. But again, I always say it's just a score. Like, I don't know, like, it's hard to define things, and that's why talking about it is so much better. Like, on a just like relating to the movie and relating to the production level. This is like, I love this movie so much because the way that they made it, it's like very much something that I would like to make. The concept, I just love that cool concept genre, you know? And, but yeah, I loved this movie. I'm very, very happy I chose it. And, yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. So if you have somebody that you know that has not seen this movie, I think this is a great one to be like, okay, just don't look into it at all and go watch it. But I think that's going to do it on Coherence for this week. So that means for next week, I'm going to have to choose another movie. And I didn't really think about this too much. I did not put as much thought into it this week as I normally do. I have a couple ideas. Let me write a couple down here. I could stick on the similar genre of the sci-fi, because I feel like I could find like a low-budget sci-fi again that not many people have seen and that I would really enjoy. But do I want to stick to the same genre this whole time? Because I mean, I would watch sci-fi movies every week, you know. Yeah, let's see. Let me see. I think I put a few things on my list the other day when I was browsing for some movies. How do I look at my list? Oh, there we go. Okay, one that one of my friends said was, he said it's like ecstasy to him. This movie. He said the movie Kung Fu Hustle, which I have never seen. And it's on Netflix. I feel like I'm kind of leaning in that direction right now. Let me look at my watch list real quick. It's just taking forever to load. Sort by date added. Okay. Yeah, there's so many sci-fi ones I would just love to watch. There's one called Fire in the Sky, which seems very cool. It's an older, like, alien abduction one. Seems like a lot of fun. Should I just go? I think I should just go with Kung Fu Hustle. It's a little different genre. It seems like I don't want to stick to sci-fi the whole time, but I think I will still do my fair share of sci-fi movies. But all right, yeah, I've made the decision. I'm gonna do it. My friend said this movie's like ecstasy to him. He's seen it 15 plus times, which is crazy. Made in 2004, rated R. Here, let me center it just a bit for you. Okay, this is next week's movie. Kung Fu Hustle. And again, I think I'm liking the practice of like not looking into movies too much. It's very satisfying not knowing what's going to happen. So I'm not going to look up too much of this movie. I'll, again, like I do at the beginning of every stream, watch the trailer after I've already seen the movie. But it's another short one. It's an hour 39. And like I said before, I believe it's on Netflix. Let me just double check that. Because, yeah, it's good to find a movie that everybody can easily find a way to watch it. Kung Fu Hustle. Yep, it's on Netflix. All right. So, yes, this is it. Kung Fu Hustle, directed by Stephen Chow. Nominated for a BAFTA. That's cool. Seems to have pretty good reviews just here on IMDb. But again, it is just IMDb. Genres are action, comedy, and fantasy. Okay. So maybe there's a little fantasy element to it. I don't want to look at the storyline really, but Bruce Lee tribute. Oh, that's cool. But yes, the best comedy for this year, no superhero. All right, well, I don't know what I'm in store for, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Kung Fu Hustle. Next week, what day is that? So today is the 31st. Next week is going to be February 7th. February 7th, we are talking about Kung Fu Hustle at 7 p.m. All right, cool. So that was Coherence Talk plus what we're going to do next week. And yeah.